Imagine a moment. You standing at a crossroads in life, where every heartbeat has been tied to someone else's expectation, every decision defined by someone else's approval. And suddenly you realize the fiercest power you ever had wasn't in being attached, it was in letting go. In that very release, you discover the hidden strength of your feminine energy. Today we explore the feminine power of emotional detachment. We'll dive into why emotional detachment, isn't a weakness, it's a gateway to your highest, most alive self. We'll uncover how this kind of detachment opens doors to inner freedom, magnetic relationships, and unapologetic self-worth. And while you listen, I want you to ask yourself, am I holding on to someone else's story, or have I the courage to write my own? Here's the truth most women never hear. Being emotionally bound, constantly seeking validation, reacting to every ripple in other people's lives, these drain your power. They make you small. They make you invisible. The truly powerful, feminine presence understands. You can feel, you can care deeply, without losing the center of yourself. That center is your birthright. Let's start with what emotional detachment really means in a feminine context. It's not being cold. It's not shutting down your heart. It's not ignoring people. On the contrary, it's choosing when and how you engage from a place of full self-awareness, clarity, and self-honor. It's saying, yes, I am open. Yes, I feel, but I am not consumed. It's a dance of softness and sovereignty. Once upon a time, perhaps you believed that love meant giving all of yourself, that your value came from how much you could sacrifice, how deeply you could attach. And maybe, in that story, you forgot you were whole on your own. You looked outwards for meaning, approval, peace. But the day you stop depending on the external to define your internal, that is when the feminine power awakens. Because the power of emotional detachment lies in reclaiming your emotional sovereignty, instead of your emotional state being a response to others' moods, words, actions. You become the author of your emotional world. You hold your center. You respond rather than react. You feel, but you don't collapse into someone else's chaos. That shift from giving your power away to owning it is profound. You might wonder, but doesn't detachment mean I'll become distant? That I'll lose connection with others? The answer is, only if you detach from everything. But you don't detach from love, from compassion, from authenticity. You detach from outcome dependence, from fear-based attachment, from the need for validation. You detach from the belief that your worth hinges on someone else showing up in a certain way. And in doing so, you free yourself to be seen, be heard, and be chosen from your fullness. Think of a flower rooted deeply in its soil. A gentle breeze may touch it, the storm may test it, but its roots remain. It sways, it dances in the wind, yet its essence stays. That flower's beauty isn't in how much the wind loves it, but in its grounded presence. That is your feminine power. You are that flower. In practical terms, practicing emotional detachment means you watch how you react. You feel when someone doesn't call back, when someone cancels, when someone's behavior shifts, and you immediately feel a panic, a tilt, a rush to fix. You pause, you breathe, you say, I feel this, but I will not act from fear. I will not collapse into the urge to please or control. You reclaim the space between stimulus and response. In that space lies your freedom. And yes, it is emotional work. Because many of us were taught, feel everything, react immediately, be grateful for any scrap of attention, attach tightly, because if you don't, you might lose them. That wiring runs deep. The feminine energy that truly shines has learned, I will feel, but I will not be swallowed. I will honor my heart, but I will not hand it away unconsciously. Let's talk about the turning point. The moment you say, I will no longer chase the flicker of attention. I will no longer bait myself into needing approval. When you stop chasing, then something magical happens. You become magnetic. Because you're not preoccupied, you're present, you're alive in your own right. You laugh, you speak, you know your value. And others feel the difference. They sense. Here is a woman who stands in her power, quietly, gracefully, unshakably. Now imagine your relationships through this lens. Rather than being consumed by will they love me? Will they show up? Will they stay? You shift to, will they choose me? Because I am already whole. The dynamic changes. You no longer build your life around waiting for someone to fill you. You build your life because you are full. You share your life because you have a life. This is the feminine power of emotional detachment. In work, in friendships, in romance, whenever you relinquish the need to make someone treat you right, and instead focus on I honor myself, you set a new standard. You become a force of nature, not because you're loud, but because you are rooted, authentic, and calm. The storm may rage around you, but you are the lake that reflects the sky, untouched by the turbulence. And when you practice this, you also protect your energy. Emotional detachment doesn't mean you become emotionless. You become self-regulating. You feel the grief, the disappointment, the longing, but you process them. You don't recycle them into blame or resentment. You don't let the past or the other person's actions hijack your future. You meet your feelings, you honor them, you release demand, you choose your next step from power, not from pain. Here's a simple practice. When you feel triggered, someone says something. You don't hear from someone. You feel yourself sinking. Pause. Take 3 deep breaths. Ask, what is this really about for me? Maybe it's fear. Maybe it's old story. Maybe it's conditioned belief. Then ask, what do I choose in this moment? And then act from that choice. That is emotional detachment. Not reacting from old fear, but responding from new clarity. Now, let's get raw. You might say, but I'm scared. If I detach, will I lose love? Will I become lonely? Will people think I don't care? The answer, yes, people might think you don't care. But the truth is, you care better. You care from integrity, not desperation. You might experience loneliness, but that often precedes real connection. Because people connect to fullness, not emptiness. They connect to someone standing in their own light, not someone dimming themselves to fit someone else's shadow. And yes, you might lose some people. That's okay. When you claim your power, some connections will no longer fit. Those who sensed your lack might walk away, but the ones meant to stay will choose you. And choosing someone who matches your standard is far more magnetic, far more fulfilling than wrestling someone who barely aligns. Let's talk about the greatest reward, freedom. Emotional detachment as a feminine power gives you freedom to feel joy, freedom to be yourself, freedom to love without neediness. You become free from the incessant voice, am I enough? Because you already are. And when you live that truth, others reflect it. You become a lighthouse, not a mirror. So if you're listening right now, ask yourself, which part of me is still reaching? Which part of me is still bending to be loved? Which part of me is holding on because I fear letting go? And then decide, I will no longer live I will no longer surrender my power for someone's approval. I will reclaim my emotion, my energy, my sovereignty. In closing, remember, your feminine power is not in surrendering your will, it's in embracing it. It is not in reacting emotionally, it's in responding consciously. It is not in clinginess or codependence, it's in the grounded certainty of your value. And emotional detachment is not a defeat, it is your triumph. It is the sacred pause between stimulus and action. It is the space where you choose yourself, and in that space, you become unstoppable. Thank you for being here. Thank you for saying yes to your growth, your authenticity, your power. Go forward now, feel deeply, love freely, but hold your center, because the world needs your feminine power. Unbound, unapologetic, radiant.